Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Today, we're going to be doing things a little different. We got a laptop out so we can have some information at the fingertips ready to
Yeah.
go so we don't lie to you guys.
It may just, be a little slow. We got to knock the dust off of it.
It's actually pretty old for a laptop. It's, what do you say? It's 5 years old?
Yeah, well, I got it my junior year of college, right?
Yeah.
And graduated 2 years ago.
Yeah. So, yeah, four?
Yeah,
4 years?
about 4.
Yeah. But it's barely used. So,
Yeah. COVID money.
yeah.
Yeah.
We wanted to give you guys a quick rundown of what's going on this morning with the laptop and everything, so you aren't surprised when we have a little section in the middle where there's no talking because we're trying to look something up. Or, bear with us. We're this is our first time we're trying this, so. We wanted to talk to you guys today about, we just finished watching The Program on Netflix, and it gave me a lot of thoughts, and
It was crazy.
it was crazy. Now, I've seen a lot crazier than what's in that show, but imagine happening to kids. It was terrible.
Yeah.
But before we get into all that, I wanted to give you guys an update on what's coming up on the show and some of the plans that we got going on. We got a couple guests coming up that I am super excited for. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag yet, but hopefully these guys are listening. We had to make some software changes. We had to make some studio changes to make this happen. We're gonna have a remote guest. We're gonna try that for the first time. You guys are gonna try being there with us, and we're gonna. I don't know. We're gonna try, and
It's going to be great. We were really surprised at what we figured out just in like 30 minutes yesterday.
yeah, it was. I was expecting it to be a lot more difficult.
Yeah.
Not in a thinking kind of, like more of like a software working together,
Yeah.
and how like getting things to record simultaneously. I have an issue with that. I really like it when we can record our sound and our video simultaneously together, so we don't have to sync those together. And that I try to do that with every show, and so far it's worked.
Yeah.
And but I wanted to give you guys a quick update on that. I've got a couple guests set up for the next couple weeks already. We are working on a couple other guests to get in here and tell their stories, have some coffee talks, some inspirations, and I'm pretty excited. Are you excited?
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I really don't want to. I don't want to spill too much, but it's going to be exciting couple of weeks coming up, and I thank you guys for being here with us. And let's talk about the program,
Right.
because I was beside myself at how this stuff is still happening today.
Yeah. And so, I mean, the actual, on Netflix, you'll find it's called The Program, Cons, Cults, and Kidnapping.
And it's a 3-part miniseries, and it's documentary style, and it's actually the host or the person that's doing the documentary is a victim of one of these places that we're talking about.
one of these schools.
Yeah, schools. They apparently the deal was with, what does WASP stands for? It's WWASP.
It's the Worldwide Association of Specialty Programs and Schools.
And so what I gather that was it was a conglomerate of random ass buildings that people would convince parents to give up their troubled teens to this program, and they would conform them. It was essentially behavior modification, and which isn't surprising for the United States to have behavioral modification programs. I've had a few people suggest behavioral programs or behavioral modification programs for our rocket, and no, not doing it. But
especially not this type of behavior
oh, hell
modification
no.
program.
You know what it reminded me of? Honestly, I know you don't do a whole lot of research and studying outside of the United States. It really reminded me of communist brainwashing.
Well, and you had said that several times while we were watching it, and they're like, I wonder if these people ever realize, like,
That's
is
how
communism.
Yeah, that's how communism really is. I mean, Russia. I've watched a lot of documentaries and stuff about what type of things happen in other countries that people like us may not be aware of. I've watched several things, a lot of documentaries on communism and the subversion from democracy to communism looks just like that. They treat you the same. They torture you the same. They tell you the same things. And it was just a little creepy. And we're not talking about this happened in the 70s. Yeah. We're not talking about the 80s. We're not even talking about the 90s. This documentary was filmed recently.
Yeah.
And the woman who did the documentary was locked up in 2005. Think about that.
Yeah.
That was no less than 20 years ago. And it's still happening today. They're still locking these kids up and torturing them.
Yeah, like, I mean, I have a list of, like, well, most of them are closed down, but I know that, like, this one says Sunset Bay Academy in Mexico is still in operation today. And it was open in 2008.
And these are the ones that are like in Mexico, I think. Now, this is my opinion. The ones that are set up in Mexico, there was one in Costa Rica they were telling us about on the documentary. I think those are set up to look like vacation retreats or something exotic for rich parents to send their kids.
Yeah.
And these kids, it ruins their lives.
Mm-hmm.
So they had these marketing people, and what these marketing people did, and granted, they weren't very good marketing people,
no.
But they were good enough to basically trick stupid people. I don't know how else to put it. Gullible. I would call it stupid, because anybody that would willingly put their child in a program where they can't talk to them
for a year, 2 years.
15 months is how long the documentarian was locked up. 15 months. She could write letters to her parents, but she wasn't allowed to talk about the abuses that they were going through, or they would start all over. They start the program all over.
Yeah, they had like a point system in the program. Like they would lose points or gain points depending on what it was.
And then they would convince the parents that, well, if the children are saying that we're being mean, then we're doing our jobs correctly. And I mean, these kids weren't even bad kids.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, of course, all the other children's stories, just the documentarian story, however you say that. Anyway, just her story. And she wasn't even a bad kid, but she also helped a few other people get out their stories, and they weren't bad children either. What I would consider a bad child. I don't think there's a such thing as a bad child, only bad people,
Yeah.
But children can be fixed, man. It's not too late.
Yeah, well, and I think, a big part of them selling these schools were like it was a religious background.
Oh,
too,
gosh. I'm telling you, I don't understand that whole.
Well, I mean, based out of Utah.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know if people tend to believe funny things or silly things when they're all wrapped up into religion like that. But I can't see a person like, I know it can happen to anybody. I know that there's people out there that are really good at manipulation that can get anybody to believe anything. But your bullshit detector didn't go off at all in 15 months. Your kid's sitting in a prison, can't go outside, can't talk to her friends, can't talk to you, can't talk to each other in the school. It was a prison. They can't. What the hell? Like, how would you not think about that? How would you not think about your kid?
Yeah.
Like even after a week, I'd be like, I wonder what, my child's doing. And I'd try to call them and they tell me, no, I can't talk. Bullshit. I'm going to get the kid right now.
And what kind of school do you think your child's going to, if part of that school's program is like, oh, we can come kidnap your child and force them to go?
Yeah.
Like
No.
in the middle of the night.
No.
Like,
I don't.
red flag.
And I also don't understand those parents who say they can't get their children to do one thing or another. Because there's probably some legit kids that need help going to those programs.
Yeah.
And I don't, like, even those children, how do you, they're children. I mean, come on. If you want them to go somewhere, you're going to get them to go. And I don't know, parents need to take control.
Yeah.
They do.
Well, and I thought there was one kid that they were talking to, well, weren't a kid when they were talking to, but they came into the program when they were 17.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's strange for a 17-year-old to go through that program.
Yeah. Whereas if
know?
I had a troubled teen at 17 years old, I'd be like GTFO, I would be, if you had serious issues with a teenager at 16, even 17, 18, they're old enough to, okay, you want to find out how the real world is, go. You're more than welcome to come back. Don't sleep out in the streets, but
Yeah, but then like that one girl, she was 13 when she came into the program. But at 13 years old, she understood what was going on in the program, and she purposely...
It makes you think about, I wonder how many single moms with pain in the ass teenage girls saw no other way, and these people come in, and the marketing people actually, SEO optimization, search engine optimization. These marketing people would go and do the Google thing and line up all the results for the Google. They would search engine optimize their results. They would put in keywords and stuff like, so their programs and buildings are the first results that comes up. And
or their helpline would
right.
come up, yeah.
And so these people would talk to you like, yes, we can help, and so these parents are thinking, finally somebody that's going to listen, finally somebody that's going to help. But your first red flag is that you can't talk to your child.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is that they send them these like contracts, like with all this stuff that's going to happen. Like your child's going to tell you that we're being mean to them, like all this stuff. Don't believe them. Like,
doesn't that scream abuse?
Yeah.
I mean, how does it not?
Yeah,
if you got a contract in front of you and the people that you're sending your kid to, oh, don't worry about it. They're going to tell you we're being mean. They're going to tell you we beat them with reeds, but don't listen to them.
Yeah.
What the hell kind of shit is that?
Yeah.
And I've got, I know a few manipulative kids, and it's like, I outsmart them sometimes, and I'm sure they're like, well, how did he figure that out? Luck of the draw, really, honestly. Yeah. But I sometimes I don't know when I'm being manipulated, and that's scary because, like, I'll think about it later on. Like, I can't give an example off the top of my head, but I've been manipulated recently, marketing and stuff like that, and sometimes I'm a really easy target, especially if it's like something I want, or something like, Google targeted ads. They know me, they got a handle on me.
Yeah. Or if your phone's listening to what you're talking about,
exactly.
And you're like, ooh, I should click on that.
Right. And that's what's scary about some of the, because I know people also that are really, really gullible and really, the parents that think they have no other way, no other options. Nobody's helping me. Nobody's doing this. Nobody's doing that. I don't have any options. My kid's an addict, or my kid's and that's another thing. Being in Utah, a religious, where the setting, the documentarian was from.
No, she wasn't from Utah.
But
that's where
okay,
the program
church, yes.
started. She was actually from like
New York, was
like
it?
New England area.
Yeah.
Because I think what was it, Ivy Ridge? Ivy Ridge.
Yeah, Ivy Ridge in New York is where it was.
Yeah.
I don't know I don't know the name of the Ogden something.
Yeah,
Whatever.
Ogden. Yeah. Yeah. I don't see it on
But anyway,
the list.
it's just really
Oh yeah, it was in Ogdensburg, New York.
Ogdensburg, New York, in which they said that it was a dead town kind of when they moved
Yeah,
in
it
there.
was like
and it was
very like there's no
so everything about
jobs.
these programs is like savior-ish, you know. And the thing about being Utah and like I'm trying religious. I'm trying I'm trying not to offend anyone,
Yeah.
really. But the thing about being in places like that is when your children get a little, over the top-ish, you feel hopeless, you feel lost, you feel like your child's a dope addict or dope fiend, and like they don't really understand how bad life really gets out there. And so they think every little minor thing that their child does is, oh, it's the end of the world.
Yeah.
And
Like that typical teenager
Satan's
stuff.
working his way in, and it's just, and those people are easily manipulated already. Because if you don't have your own mind, Jesus is not going to smite me because I picked my nose this morning, like sins and all that stuff. I get it. But those type of people, in my opinion, would be easier to manipulate into something like that because they are more willing to give into a higher power.
Yeah.
I'm in control of my life. And since the day I realized that, my life has gotten exponentially better.
Yeah.
Since I took control of things and been like, hey, whatever happens from here on out is on me. I can make this happen. I can't wait for this person to make it happen or that person to make it happen. And that goes with parenting. I am in control of my parenting decisions. I can't always control what happens to my children. I can't always keep them safe, but it is my job as a parent to always try. And I feel like a lot of these parents on the documentary.
The documentary.
Yes. Thank you. I feel like a lot of the parents on the documentary were even in denial about
Yeah.
how they were responsible for their child's trauma.
Yeah.
And especially the gentleman, her father. And I think he understood, but I think he was wanting to get over that. And
Yeah. Like move on.
yeah, okay, it's been X amount of years, like it didn't happen to you, sir.
Yeah.
And these things take years to get over if you get over them at all. Like, and that was 15 months is such a small period window of her life that it shouldn't, you should be able to just toss that out of your brain.
But when you went through it every single day for 15 months.
They call it ideological subversion. And I implore anyone who doesn't understand what that means to look up ideological subversion. It's scary how we can all be manipulated. We can all be lied to. It's terrible. And I hate to see that in 2024. Is there any of these places still running here in the United States?
Let's see.
I just want to know that. And then, so while she's looking that up, I wanted to have the laptop out so we can have some information flow. And eventually I'd like to have some other monitors up so everybody can see what's going on. We got to kind of figure out how to, we already know how to do it. We already know how to insert the information that we're looking at on the computer to you guys. We know how to do that, but at the same, it's difficult to do with just two of us. And right now, we don't have a producer that is any more than Ashley is our producer. And she does a really wonderful job. She edits everything. She gets everything ready for the show. And I don't want to put too much on her. And so we plan to have this podcast as a long-term project, a long-term, like not just long-term. I'm probably going to be doing this forever, but like, I don't really care if it makes money. I'm here for you guys and I'm here for me. So I wanted to kind of change things up and improve the show, but this is one of those kind of like test run shows that we'd hate to just record it and throw it away. And so we were talking last night and we were discussing the program, this documentary. I keep messing up that word, this documentary. We were discussing this documentary and I told Ashley, I said, wait, stop. Wait for tomorrow. We'll talk about it on the podcast. And then we started planning out some of the things that we were going to do. And I wanted to get the laptop out and there's a whole bunch of stuff that we ended up, we're going to eventually tie this all in together and it's going to be a wonderful product for you guys. It's going to be a wonderful product for us. But in the meantime, we're just going to have to do it like this.
Yeah. So WASP, the actual WASP actually dissolved, but there were
Thank
several
goodness.
umbrella companies like she described in the documentary.
Of
that
course
opened.
there are. You know what they do is when they get in trouble, they file bankruptcy. They dissolve the business and then they just open up under a different name. I've talked about it several times, even with small businesses around here. If they lose their ass, all they've got to do is just close their doors for a little while, file bankruptcy, buy everything back under a different name, and then go from there. And it's so simple. It's stupid.
Yeah. And so the only thing I can find is that the Sunset Bay Academy in Mexico is the only one. It was established 2008. And it's subcontracted with WASP in 2008, but ended the contractual relationship in 2009. But it's still operating. So
That's sad. That's here in the United States.
Mexico.
Well, Mexico, we can't really do anything about Mexico, but the fact that places like this still exist is mind-blowing in itself. But I hope none of these places are, and there's places all over the United States like this. And it just blows my mind that nobody cares. And
that people still send their kids to these
Yeah,
places. No questions.
They've been fighting with WASP and that Robert Litchfield guy. They've been trying to get that guy since I think she's been the documentarian. She was working on this thing since she got out in
She said she's been doing this for 10 years.
Yeah. I just can't believe that even with words on testimony with testimonies from actual victims that they can't and I'm surprised no victims have actually gone after these people.
Yeah.
They say there's a lot of suicides
Yeah.
come out of these programs.
Yeah. Suicides and overdoses.
Just out of that one school with their class that the people that they know, these kids, the people that how many kids would you say there was? Like 10? And now they're not kids.
Yeah.
They're like our age now.
Yeah.
There was like 10 of people who were victims of these programs that did this documentary together. And they said that they counted like 40 people that they knew that went to this program with them that had passed away, committed suicide.
Yeah. Just that they knew of.
Yeah, that sucks, man. It does so much damage to them that they can't get over it.
Yeah.
And that's torture, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, I need everybody to go and watch the program. on Netflix. If you don't have Netflix,
Just
I don't know what to tell you.
just do some searching about it, and like you can watch, like I think on YouTube too, there's some videos about it. So, and actually, they talk about Academy at Ivy Ridge and how somebody bought the property. Of course, the school stopped being in operation in like 2006.
And they
I think
left
it
all
was.
them records behind.
Yeah, and so it talks about how kids went to school, took records, took film from the CCTVs.
Yeah.
And
It's
they
got- it does-
uploaded those videos to YouTube, so you can actually
They
see
did.
the videos from inside the school.
While you're editing all this, can you link all that stuff into the description so everybody can see that? It's heartbreaking.
Yeah, even just the few clips of videos they showed in the
If you
documentary.
don't want to
were
watch
awful.
if you don't want to watch it, that's even more of a reason to watch it. Everybody needs to know about this stuff so we can get it stopped now.
Well, and
Not only in the United States, but in North America, in the Western civilizations, like Eastern civilizations, it seems like they're kind of used to this kind of stuff, but that's communism for you.
yeah.
And I need everybody to go and watch this documentary and leave us some feedback and let us know how you felt after watching it. It's so mind bending that I can remember 2005. I can my kids 1-2 years old at that time. I can remember that. You were fresh out of high school, 04. Isn't that mind blowing that you could still remember all that?
Yeah.
And that stuff was just peaking
Well, and
at
like,
that time.
you
And
know-
it's not like, look at the foster care situation in Kansas.
Yeah. Oh, it's
There
horrible.
is, ladies and gentlemen, there are people who foster children for profit. They have no other reason.
And the amount of lost foster children in Kansas, like I think
Lost
that's
foster
an issue.
children, abused foster children, and nobody cares. And like the state of Kansas is aware of this shit. That's the thing about that. And these are just the issues that I know of because I've personally witnessed the issues coming out of Kansas. I personally know kids who are in the foster system in Kansas who are stuck there. They know their parents. Their parents are, they're poor, but they're good parents. They're decent people. I know these people. And the state won't give them their kids back. You know why? Because somebody's making money off of them. They've become a fucking product. Why don't you just leave us alone? Leave our children alone. If you want to make money, come sell me something.
Well, and that's what, one of the things I was talking about is in some of these programs, depending on the state they were in, foster kids would go to these programs because the state would pay for the foster kid to go.
There was a kid that was murdered at one of these places. I don't remember where the place was, but he was a bigger child, 15-ish. Mm-hmm. And 6 men jumped on this kid and restrained him and killed him.
Because he threw a piece of bread in the lunchroom.
Food fight, and he was just teasing another child. Was that a reason to kill him?
Yeah.
I do understand pain in the ass kids and the need for discipline, but you shouldn't have put your hands on that child at all.
No,
But there was 6 men that jumped on this child and killed him.
Yeah, and the thing that they brought up is that everybody around just like went on about their business like it was just normal. They see it every day. Nobody reacted to it.
And
other kids, like talking about the other kids, nobody reacted
Right.
to it because it's just,
Well, if they did react to it, they'd be next. I do kind of understand that.
especially since you're not even allowed to look out the window.
Right.
Those programs.
You get demerits for looking out the window and peeking out and seeing sunshine.
Yeah.
Isn't that terrible?
Yeah. Like
And
the lady doing the documentary said that like when she got out, it was like such a shock,
all right.
like just being outside and the culture that had changed, and movies that came out.
Yeah. The main documentarian
Yeah.
was talking about that, the things that happened while she was locked up in there. And I'm like, a few of my favorite movies had came out, but where I was going with that was the child that was murdered by these 6 individuals who jumped on him. He was a foster child. The only fucking reason he was there is because his mom died.
And he went into the foster system.
Yeah, his mom died, and so he was a foster child, and he was just being a child, and 6 men jumped on him and killed him. I don't know how to feel about that, ladies and gentlemen, because I watched it. They showed the security footage of this kid being jumped on.
And it really didn't look like he was even like fighting them. Really,
No.
like maybe at
No,
first
they were
just kind
laying
of
on
like
his-
backed up, but
They were laying on his legs, his waist, his upper half, and there was like 3 people around his head. And I just blows my mind that, I mean, that
I wonder if
6
any of those people were charged.
No, I don't, like, probably not. And stuff like that happens on a daily basis to a lot of people. Cops do that all the time. That George Floyd incident. Now, I honestly believe that George Floyd, I think his part of his death was like he was really high. I think that had a lot to do with it. But like, if he'd have just been walking down the street, on his own, he may still be alive. But police officers laid on him, put their knees into his neck. And so that stuff happens all the frickin' time. How people of authority think that they can put their hands on you in a way that could possibly kill you. And that's okay. Like, we're okay with that nowadays. And I don't see how police, like, I don't see how you can go into a court of law and charge these officers and any of them get away with it. But I don't see how it's even allowed. Don't put your hands on me.
Yeah.
You feel like your life's in danger. That's a separate incident. But George Floyd, the reason why they had him tied down like that is because he wouldn't comply with their demands after going into a fucking store with counterfeit money. Now, that was a reason to attack him. That was a reason to put him on the ground. Now, whether he's listening to your demands or not, what he did, his original crime, was not worth putting him on the ground. You shouldn't even put your damn hands on him. And I understand there's laws. I understand there's rules. But if this gentleman's all whacked out on drugs and a cop comes up to him and says, "Hey, what are you doing with this fake $20 bill?" And he just keeps walking away from you, you're telling me you're at that point, you're scared for your life?
Right. Like, is that the hill you want to die on?
Right. And then you go put your hands on him and he retaliates or reacts to that. And then you kill him.
Yeah.
Why? Just leave him alone. Our police department here in our city has a wonderful policy about stuff like that. And they've been like this for a very long time. They won't chase. And they won't, if they see a security footage, and they know that person, they're not going to go after that person. They're going to wait for that person to come to them. And I asked, why do you do that? And they said, well, it's a lot easier to catch them that way. It's a lot easier to catch them when they're not running.
Yeah. Well, they don't want no George Floyd incidents or
No,
anything like that.
I personally have never witnessed anything like that here or anywhere around here. I think our officers do a pretty good job around here. Not saying that it can't happen or hasn't happened or won't happen. I'm just saying I've not seen it. And I know that our police officers here probably don't have the greatest training, but they show a lot of restraint in their everyday dealings with the public, especially when, at a gas station and people are screaming at them and stuff. I mean, they have every right to come over, give you a ticket for that, but they just go on about their day because they've got other shit to worry about.
Yeah.
But I just don't understand that stuff. I don't understand why you would feel the need to put your hands on a child like that. Like,
Well,
what the hell what is that child going to do to you? Like, why do you need 6 people?
Well, and a lot of that, that video footage we've seen, And it wasn't ever just like, and we never saw anything from the girl's side. It was always the
Right.
boys' side that we saw the video footage.
The documentarian said there wasn't any cameras on the girls' side. Like there were a few cameras, but not like there were on the boys' side. There was cameras everywhere. And my theory on why is because a lot of shit happened all the time, and accusations started flying at one point in time. Somebody said, "Okay, we'll put in cameras."
Yeah. Well, and then on the, you seen a lot where it just wasn't one person on a child on the boys' side. It was always like at
Two to
least
three
two or
people,
more.
yeah, two to
each
three
time.
grown big men.
Like throwing these kids around, and then they had the one room that had no camera in it, and like that one kid said, "Oh no," because in that room he said they would smack your head off the wall and off the radiator. And
the
all kinds of
documentarian did say, she's like, the things that they did on camera are really bad. Imagine what they did off camera.
Yeah.
And I saw on one of those, and it's kind of making me tear up just thinking about it. I saw on one of those security cameras them lifting a boy up by his head.
Yeah.
With their hands around his neck.
And he was small, and that guy was probably 2 or 3 times his size.
Yeah. And what could he have done? What could have child have done to deserve that? It is beyond my scope of understanding, because I'm a grown man. If a child did something to piss me off, I'm not going to go over there and pick him up by his...
the first thing, pick him up by his neck, and
whether he's fighting with me or not, I've got control over my emotions enough to understand that that's a child. I'm an adult. I know better. He doesn't.
Yeah.
And that's, and you put these kids in, and I said it multiple times yesterday. I know that a lot of these kids, there's nothing wrong with them. I know that and the reason why I know is because people like me, and I was a juvenile delinquent when I was younger. People like me, people that are criminally minded, pain in the ass children. The one thing that I said while we were watching through all 3 episodes is people like me would go in there and say, "Hey, they can't take us all." And we would storm them.
Because that's what I said. I said, there's got to be more kids than staff at that place.
Yeah, it was 2 to 1. 2 kids to 1 staff member. And I don't know how the hell they had that happen, because we can't get that in our public schools.
Yeah.
So,
well, because it was unqualified, untrained people that
That's
should have
right.
had degrees but didn't.
Right. And
so they were hiring anybody that needed a job, because remember that town didn't
that's right.
had
And
a high unemployment rate. And
they got into that. Was that the 3rd episode, right? Mm-hmm. They got into that and how the town was kind of dead. It had been
pretty dilapidated,
alive, but it had been dead, and they had a slow economy, not a lot of jobs, and they became the biggest employer in that city. And then you get people that are afraid to say things about, this place bringing in a lot of money into this city. It's changing lives but how many lives did they destroy to enrich these people's lives? And the people, like, it was like watching World War II documentaries, or have you ever done any research on the Nuremberg trials?
no.
Do you remember, so do you know what the Nazis said when presented with their crimes? I was just doing my job. And that's what those people said. I was just doing my job. How there was a lady that could only work there a month. She only worked there a month because her moral flexibility just wasn't there.
Yeah.
She said, I couldn't take it and I had to leave. She made it a month.
Yeah.
But she didn't do anything to help those kids.
Yeah, and that's what she said. She said, what I regret is I didn't say anything, and I didn't do anything to help. And then you had the other lady that said, well, they told me, if the kids file complaints on me and say I'm being mean, then I'm doing a good job. And she's like, and they did. They complained about me all the time. And she said I was a huge bitch. And the lady that did the documentary said, yeah, you were.
Why would you do that? Like, why would you do that to kids, man? Even if they're assholes.
Yeah.
They're still kids. They're our future. Like, they're going to be taking care of us eventually. You know,
Yeah.
do you want to?
And it's like, I mean, the thing is like they were all kids once. They were all teenagers once.
Exactly. I thought that more than once while watching this. Is
Like, are you
like,
telling
did
me,
nobody
like-
stop and think about what life was like when they were kids? Like, especially the documentarian's dad. He's a real good guy, apparently. And I got that feeling from the very first, when we got introduced to the people on the show. We got that kind of sense that dad was a good dad, just a little dumb and gullible. And that's what happened. He got goaded. And the documentarian said, I forget her name.
Catherine.
Catherine had said that her she had wrote in letters that, we're not allowed to talk to each other. And she, espoused some of these things were going on. And her father said, you don't look at it like that. When you get those letters, when you say we're not allowed to talk to each other, what we think on the outside is, okay, school type setting, you're not allowed to talk in school. Of course, whatever. And that's how they were thinking of it was like a school and we're not allowed to talk to each other and she's just being naughty and getting in trouble.
Yeah.
And that is how they twisted things. And they invited these parents in, and it was like a cult. These parents would have to stand in a circle, hold hands, and chant kumbaya or what the fuck ever. I don't know. Like, that
They were
would
called
be
like seminar. Was it seminars or
seminars.
Parent-child level 1 or
Yeah.
parent-child level 2? Or
That would be
something.
enough for me to be like, fuck this. I'm not paying for this.
Something strange.
Like,
About, and the thing is
and there was people paid to be there.
like that one girl was in the program. How long? Like
18 months.
Like-
Which one? Catherine or the?
no, the one that her mom paid over $76,000, and it wasn't even like 2 years, and she paid
Yeah.
$76,000 for her.
I think it
be
was
there.
like, you talking about the tall blonde?
No, she had like the green hair.
Okay. I think she was 18 or 19 months,
Yeah, and $76,000.
and her mother lived in a. Now, when you watch this documentary, you get a sense that not all of these people had the 76,000.
Yeah.
Not all these people had that money to go send their children to these schools, and whew, I'm just beside myself of why, if you can't afford it, would you send, like, is your kid that bad?
Yeah.
Like, then, like, if your child's that bad, maybe you internalize that and say, what the fuck did I do? Like, why isn't my kid happy?
Yeah, or try to get, some counseling.
Something, therapy. I don't know, man. They didn't even have any therapists on the damn campuses.
Yeah.
They didn't have any counselors, no therapists, no nothing. It was just brainwashing,
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah.
And they said they like the towel thing.
Yeah.
That is some shit straight out of communist Russia. I swear to God, you'd see that stuff, like their military. They do things like that.
Or making them walk in the dog cages
Yeah,
for like 8 hours a day, just in a circle.
the gulag.
Yeah.
It still exists, ladies and gentlemen. Like, I promise you, like anything that you heard about Russia, like in the 80s, like the Soviet Union, it's still happening. They're not even secretive about it. They like that. They put it on TV and shit. North Korea's military is they're not very well trained, and they have these videos of them doing crazy little flips and breaking bricks and stuff, and it's a bunch of nonsense. And then you find out that throughout their training that they do stuff like that. They do stuff like they were telling these kids to do. And it's ideological subversion. It's basically torture tactics. That's what it is. It's torture tactics. There's no other way to put it. It's abuse, and it needs to be stopped. And I don't know, like, how do people watch this shit and not do something about it? There was a lawmaker that she was talking to at the end, didn't seem very concerned.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't know who Robert Litchfield is, but and she's like, oh, you will. And it seemed like, oh, he was going to just gloss right over it and not do anything about it. And I don't know. Can you look up to see if anything happened with that guy and Robert Litchfield yet?
Well, I was just looking up to see if this one place was still open called Majestic Ranch in Utah.
Where the hell is that at?
Randolph, Utah. I don't know if it's still open, but it's under the directory for troubled teens. But anyways,
Great. Now we're going to be marketed troubled teens.
you're like, Sully.
Oh,
Keep it
I
up.
don't think so.
No.
I don't think so.
So here there was something, a lawsuit filed in 2007 against WASP and its founder, Robert Litchfield, on behalf of 133 plaintiffs, alleging physical and sexual abuse and fraudulent concealment
lawsuit
of abuse brought negative publicity to Republican presidential candidate Mitt Romney.
Yeah. That's how long ago that was. That's how, what was that? Like 2012?
I don't know. It said the lawsuit was filed in 2007.
Oh God.
But
yeah. That's how, and that's almost 20 years ago. No, like, I don't understand how people like that make it through their whole lives without getting shot. Like, how's no kids found him and blown him up or something, you know?
Well, it says in 2007, I don't know who Randall Hilton is, but he was convicted of 1 count each of third-degree assault and false imprisonment for mistreating students at the WASP-affiliated Royal Gorge Academy. He was the manager and co-founder.
They did say that when they got some of these places closed down, they
And then
just pop right back up.
He just got jail followed by probation. So,
Yeah.
boy.
What they need to do is take these people and do the same thing that they did to the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, every little thing that they did to them, make them feel it, you know. And there's a lot of kids that are never going to get over that. The documentarian, she seemed like she had a very good head on her shoulders, and then again, it seemed like she didn't do anything wrong to get there anyway. She had a wine cooler, ladies and gentlemen. That's pretty much what she did to get sent there.
Yeah.
She was at a boarding school for rich people. It's a nice school. She got kicked out of that school for having a Mike's Hard Lemonade and ended up going to kiddie prison
Yeah.
over a mistake. It ruined 15 months of her life and scarred her for life. And we need to protect our children more than that. We need to do better.
So this does say that numerous former students and their parents have filed lawsuits against WASP, its personnel or individual schools.
But again, lawsuits, is that the only way that you can hurt them, is going after their pocketbook? You can't lock any of them up like they did those kids?
But most of them have been settled out of court or dismissed for procedural reasons.
That and procedural reasons, you mean like we didn't put the shit in Latin like you wanted? The United States court systems, fuck.
Like one of the reasons was...
they make it intentionally confusing.
Yeah, one of the reasons was a judge in California, or because the judge found that California lacked jurisdiction.
Yeah, I can see jurisdictional problems, but why isn't federal shit picked up? Like, there should be federal laws. Like that one legislator, he did say there should be a federal law, you know, federal things that can intercede into these little programs, because it, like, if they get busted and shut down in one state, they'll just move to a different state.
Yeah, and then apparently, I think this is just crazy that Ken K, it talked about him. He told an interviewer that the lawsuits are just a ploy to get money, and some people are just never going to be happy.
And back in the 80s and 90s, they used to have bean counter. I'm sure they still have bean counters that they risk and reward. Auto manufacturers have been notorious about doing shit like this. They will know that there's a problem, and that they will assess the risk reward of fixing that issue. So if it's going to cost them less to eat the lawsuits and all that, than it will to fix the issue, they'll just eat the lawsuits. They've already calculated, oh, it's going to cost us X amount of dollars to fix this issue. And if we get sued, we can offset that with just settling. Isn't that wild that people do that? Isn't it that people think like that? Like, how would, and I guess that's why I'm poor. I guess that's why I don't have any money, is because I don't think like that. Like, I'm not over here like, hey, let's go gouge out our neighbor's eyes so we can make a few bucks. I'm not like that.
Right. Trying to.
I am, I'll see some stupid shit and I'll be like, here's my money.
Yeah. That's why you're poor.
But I kind of want to wrap this. It's Sunday. I wanted to wrap up this little subject here because it's Sunday. It's not the day to be pissed off all day.
It's St. Patrick's Day today.
Hey,
so we had a fun day yesterday.
I know it's not Sunday. Probably not Sunday while you guys are watching this. We put them out on Mondays and Fridays. Hopefully, within a year or so, we'll have a couple other projects going on the old YouTubes. But we got a couple other shows that we want to do. Yesterday was amazing. Like, we didn't spend much of the day together, which is very odd because we normally do. But I've been having this seasonal depression shit. I've been dealing with seasonal depression and burnout like crazy. I hate being stuck inside all the time, but winter sucks for me. I hate being cold. And so I'd much rather stay inside and be bored than go outside and be cold. Unless I have something to do, like fun things are what I brave the cold for fun things. But anyway, yesterday morning we got up and we started the day, fairly, like every other day.
We actually all got up pretty early yesterday, except for Sully.
So half of us got up fairly early.
Well, 3/4 of us.
Yeah. So we went to the St. Patty's Day parade, which is a different experience for me because I don't really care for parades all that much. But
it was the first parade that Rocket's ever been to. I think he was a little confused because he was just standing there like he wanted to throw the candy.
Yeah, they didn't have any marching bands or anything like that.
Bagpipes
No
either.
Yeah, and so we came up with the idea that our company, Dick and Ash Productions, we're going to have a St. Patty's Day float next year.
We need to find us a bagpipe player to be on it.
A few of them. And I was telling Ashley we can hire it. We can hire bagpipe players and do it with us. I don't care. I think it'd be fun. But how cool would it be? Like all those people like that were in the parade yesterday and having the parade vehicles and everything, and they weren't. Nobody was being loud. There wasn't any music or bagpipes or marching bands or anything like that. We'd be the loudest kids on the block.
Yeah.
But we started our day just like every other Sunday pretty much, every other Saturday pretty much. But what was different was you had said something about going to this parade and I forgot about the parade. I didn't want to go. I'm glad I went, but I didn't want to go. I was like, I just feeling ick. Not really ick, just tired and stuff. Oh, we went to the parade, and then after the parade, I just started getting busy, and we came home, we ate some lunch, and then we came out here to work on the podcast, and it didn't take us very long to get stuff set up. And I'll just tell you what we were doing because nobody listens this far into the show anyway. We were setting up Zoom, and so how Zoom is free for the most part. Well, there is a paid Zoom.
Yeah, it's limited. The free is limited.
There is a paid version of the Zoom subscription service, and it gives you a whole suite of tools that you didn't have on the free version. And the free version is kind of, in my opinion, it was kind of all over the place and a little confusing.
Well, it's also limited to
Yeah, a lot of the buttons don't work on there and stuff.
like
but
the time, like your meeting times are limited to like, what is it, half an hour or something?
45 minutes.
Yeah.
And where you got 30 hours of
Yeah.
like, who the hell is going to have a meeting for 30 hours? Not me. But anyway, just setting that up wasn't as hard as we thought it was going to be. And I was fairly sure that we were going to have to switch up some of our equipment. I thought that, and not only that, but I thought we were also going to have to record audio and video separately, because that's what I was reading. And I didn't want to deal with that. I'm not the editor. Ashley's the editor. So I didn't even have to worry about any of that stuff.
You weren't going to have to deal with it anyways.
Right. But I don't want you to have to deal with it, because it takes you forever to edit already anyway. And that's just adding more work to the process. I don't want to add more work to the process. I want to take take work away from the process. I want to not really automate it, but I want to easy.
Yeah.
And which the setup that we got is like the easiest setup that you can have. When I start
You want to
thinking
work
of
smarter, not harder.
exactly, when I think about upgrading, there's the mouse right there for that.
Oh yeah,
You didn't
Rocket
even have
had
to-
it the other day.
You didn't even have to cut that out. I'm just
Well,
looking
this
over.
is a touch screen too, so
Well, I don't like using these things because I don't like that. What do you call that mouse pad with your finger? I don't like that thing.
oh yeah.
I can't use that thing. It's not very, but I'm staring up here looking up at the PC, and the mouse for the laptop is up on the PC. So anyway, I forgot where I was. I got distracted. See, it's like a squirrel.
Anyways, so it wasn't hard to get Zoom and all that stuff set up. So.
No, we got all that set up, and then yesterday I went out, and our the guy that sold us the house had given us a swing set,
A really nice
a
one.
giant one. It's like two sets of regular swings, and then a
Slide.
banana swing, whatever, a slide, and then well, anyway,
It
there's
looks like
lot
a
of
trampoline, but it's a big circular swing.
I mean, this swing set's one of the big expensive ones, and we'd never had one before. But anyway, he brought it over and just let us have it. And this was 2 months after we bought the house.
Yeah.
So like, he called me like 3 times that day, and I was like, "What the hell does Jeff want?" And I'm like, he called me 3 times, so I better call him back. And he's like, "Hey, you home?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm home." He's like, "I'm going to bring you the swing set." Oh, okay. And so we had that out in the backyard, and I just bought a ride mower from my cousin the other day. And I told Ashley, I was like, "Hey, you got stuff to keep you busy?" And she's like, "Yeah." I was like, "I think I want to go out here and play with this lawnmower." And I had all intentions of just getting it out and just riding it around the yard and kind of testing it out. But I dropped the mower blade on it, and it was like it almost scalped the yard. So I had to do some playing around and get where I really like the grass cut. I had to kind of figure that out, and then I ended up mowing the whole
I
lawn.
was gonna say that. Then you're just like, oh, I'll mow the whole yard.
And so as I was mowing the backyard, I was like, well, that swing set's in the way. And so you were standing there, and I was like, hey, you want to help me move this swing set? And then I got beat up by a tree. And
Twice.
Yeah.
By 2 different trees.
so, and then after I got all that done, Rocket was with our cousin, and we called her and was like, hey, you got an air bubble? Because with our lawnmower, our cousin also sold us a trailer to pull behind the lawnmower. Now we got a small yard.
It's like a little bitty Rubbermaid
yeah,
trailer.
yeah. We got a small yard. I really don't have a need for this trailer, but you know,
came in handy
he was
yesterday.
like, an extra $50. I'll throw in this trailer. And it's a little Rubbermaid trailer, utility trailer for yard work. And it did come in handy yesterday, because when I don't rake the leaves or anything. So I was mowing over, and I made a huge mess out of the front yard after I was done mowing, and I would come in and got you, and we had to rake up all those leaves, and we used that trailer to dispose of the leaves. But I didn't even think about it when my cousin offered to sell it to me that, we have a 4-year-old. He's almost 5 now. But how cool would it be to just give him rides in it? And so if we don't use that trailer for anything else, we'll give little man some
Rides.
some little hay rides and stuff on it. And he loved it. He had some fun and everything. And I'm gonna have to figure out how to keep that trailer connected.
The best part was when you're just riding along and then it came undone and he's like, ah.
Which thank God nobody got hurt. Yeah. We were going really slow, but the hitch pin just came out and it's got nothing to hold it in there. It's not cotter pin, nothing. And I don't even think there's a place for a cotter pin on that.
I was just thinking, I don't think there is one.
But anyway, we got a lot of shit done this week. I'm very impressed with the amount of things that we got done. And not only that, but how good I feel on Saturday and Sunday after doing all that stuff. I'm not exhausted. I'm tired from not getting much sleep, but that's pretty much it. I could do the same thing today that we did yesterday and be fine. Yeah. And I want to plan a few more. I think this is going to be our last your and I's last podcast for a little while. I think we've got some guests coming. Now I don't know that for sure. We may record one or two more to kind of backfill, but I'm fairly certain it'll be a while before we're on here talking to each other. And we wanted to try out the laptop. We wanted to talk about the program, and maybe we should have done a little bit of better planning for this episode, but fuck it. It's Sunday. We're drinking coffee. I'm the bearded bad dad, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.